Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the 37th tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we are going to check out the for loop. And the for loop is the second looping construct that we're going to check out in this course. The first one, the while loop, we've seen in the previous tutorial, and the third one, the do while loop, we're going to check out in maybe the next tutorial. So as you can see, using code blocks, I've saved a file. I've given it the name for.c. On line 1 in this file, I have my header file. On line 2, I have the main function. Lines 3 and 4, I have my curly braces. And between the braces, we're going to type in the code that we need for the program. Now, for is not really a direct alternative to while. They both have their own areas of application. So you would want to use while loop in cases when you're not sure in advance how many times you're going to execute the body of the while loop, whereas you would use for loop in cases when you are sure to a great extent how many times you're going to execute the body of the for loop. So the syntax of for loop is pretty simple to understand, and for the sake of understanding the difference between the for and the while loop, particularly the difference in the syntax and how basically these loops work, I'm going to do the same thing as we did for the previous tutorial. That is, we're going to have a variable in the program, we're going to give it a value, and then we're going to print its value from 0 to 9 on different lines on the screen, right? So understandably, I would have to declare the variable first, and I'll give it the name a, and I'm going to declare an integer variable. As you can see, I've typed in the keyword int, and I'll give it the value 0. Now this is not important, you don't have to give the value here, and I guess I would give it inside the parentheses for the for statement. And what I mean is, for allows you to do this. Instead of giving your looping variable or your control variable a value before the loop begins, you can do that in the for statement, right? So the first step in for is the initialization step, where you give your looping variable or your control variable value. So I can give a the value 0 here, and then I'll have to put in a semicolon, because that is a part of the syntax. You basically have three components for your for statement. The first component is the initialization part, where you give your control variable some value. The next part is the test condition part. So the test condition for this loop is also going to be a less than 10, because we want the loop to function 10 times, right? So 0 to 10, there are 10 numbers in between, and the loop would work 10 times. And also you have your updation step, or the increment or decrement step, as a component of the for statement as well, right? So instead of doing that in the body of the for loop, just as we did for while, we're going to do it within the parentheses right here. So you can either type in a equals a plus 1, or you can use the shorthand notation a plus plus. And I don't think I've discussed the postfix and prefix increment and decrement operators with you guys, but this is a way of saying change the value of a by 1, right? And since we're using the plus plus operator here, it means that increase the value of a by 1. If I would have used the minus minus operator here, then that would have meant decrease the value of a by 1. So anyway, after the parentheses, you're going to put in a pair of curly braces. I'm sorry, what am I doing? And between these curly braces, you're going to have in the code for your for loop. So we're going to have just one printf statement, which is going to be executed 10 times, and we're going to display the same thing here. So a is and colon, and then the %d format specifier, because a is an integer. And let's also put in a new line escape sequence here, so that we get the result of each individual iteration on new line, right? So after the second double quotation mark, I'll put in a comma symbol, and after the comma symbol, I'll type in the name of my variable a. I'll put a semicolon to terminate this, and notice that you don't have to put in any more statement within the body of for to make changes to your control variable, because you've already done that within the parentheses for the for statement. So when I click on build and run, you see that in the output window I get the same result as I got for while, right? So you get a is 0, a is 1, a is 2, a is 3, so on and so forth up till a is 9. So this is all I wanted to say about the for loop, and my goal for this tutorial was to familiarize you guys with the syntax of for, and also to get across the basic difference between the for loop and the while loop, and it's pretty much in the syntax only. And I don't think there's anything in particular that you can do with just while loop and no other loop. uh, there are certain things that you can do with just the do while loop and not with the while and the for loop, but you can't really have that kind of distinction between for and while. So it's some people prefer using for more than while, and I'm one of those guys. I prefer using while more than any other loop because I've just grown up using while, so I prefer using it. But anyway, you can try experimenting with the for loop, and there are a lot of cool things that you can do with it, and we're going to check out more applications of it in this course. But for the time being, this is all I wanted to share with you. So thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I'll see you guys in the next one, which we'll discuss something interesting again for sure. So stay tuned for updates, and please subscribe to my channel in case you haven't already, and I'll see you soon.